There we go. Okay, so fun and games again at the weekend, and always seems to be that these events happen on a weekend. I made the comment in the forum yesterday, if you knew what was coming at the weekend, you could have made a lot of money. And I'm sure there are a lot of people within governments who knew what was coming, did make a lot of money. And it happens all the time. It's one of the reasons why we recommend you don't leave orders over the weekend. However, I did leave a small balance of an order. I had a counter trend trade last week on the USDCAD. Very rarely trade counter trend, but I shared it with you in a video update last week. And the only reason why I left it open over the weekend was because it was 150 pips in profit, I think it was. So this is the trade. I took it down here. I shared the video the other day. At its peak, it was up 230 on the balance. I got out, I think, around here. And then on the weekend, so this was the Friday candle. It closed up here, which was 170 pips from my entry, which basically would have been 2.5 days times the average daily range. And I only had 0.15% of the trade left on. So that's why I did it. Now, looking at candlesticks, with experimenting with gold and silver of late, I am starting to pay a bit more attention to candlesticks. And as a trader as well, you go through phases where your emphasis and your focus shifts. And I say it's been gold and silver that set me on this thing at the moment. And it's a bit like Ashley, I think, with his head and shoulders patterns. You start to see them everywhere. And so this is definitely a reversal candle at the top of a move. I have moved the balance of this trade now to here below the 4 or 5 day low. So worst case scenario, it will take me out on 110. If it does decide to go back up again here, then I'm thinking next stage would be here and here, of course. And whilst I'm in here, this is, let me do this, and then let me get rid of that and do this again. This is silver. And no, it's not, it's gold. I showed you, I haven't actually shared it with you yet. We made some videos last week, and this was a video I made of trading gold. And I've been experimenting on shorter time frames. And Marcel's with us this morning. He and I have been experimenting with these funded crypto accounts. And I must say, I am struggling to avoid being a busy fool. And this was a trade I took last week, and this was just basically longer time frames. We were in a range, and that was easy. And so on a 4 hour, you could see price was repeated. I mean, this is a flag pattern, and but you could see also we were in this kind of pattern. Yesterday, I was day trading, and it's exhausting. And I'd say I just end up being a busy fool. And then the other thing is, if I'm going to do this more aggressively, I have to get my mind around the idea of risking more per trade. So that's what I've been playing at. We'll post the videos tomorrow. There was some updates we've done. So the update I did yesterday is here. And again, I've got this thing set up now where I'm looking, if you're trading shorter time frames, you still should have the big picture there. And I have daily 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 15 minutes I was watching. And I caught some and I made a profit. And I said here the AI summary is noting I entered a bit late on my demo. I'm trying to do this on my own personal live account, do it on a funded account, and then do it on here. And it was moving that quickly. I got in a bit late. I moved the stop, took some profit. And that's the other thing. More than ever at the moment, you need to get in the habit of taking partial profits because we've suddenly there's a ceasefire after everything's gone on. And then half an hour ago, getting a news flash that Israel says Iran is violating the ceasefire and has ordered new strikes. So this is not going to go away. This is why I don't trade oil because you have to be so up to speed constantly with the geopolitics. And this is nuts at the moment. So I know there were some bombs landed in Israel after the start of the ceasefire, or was it in Qatar? But I mean, this is just highly volatile, and God knows what's going on. And the thing that strikes me as odd as this, the other day the Americans have bombed the nuclear bunkers, and it's like, well, what about radiation fallout things? It's nobody seems to be bothered about that. They're just all trundling along that this is a good thing, whether you believe it's a good thing or a bad thing. Is not for me to contest or argue with because I'm not even sure myself what I think on this. And on the subject of that, I did get an email from Julian. I don't know if he's with us today. Um, Julian's with us, yeah. Basically, he said that he agrees with me that we're talking about Keir Starmer, and he was saying that he doesn't mind me saying that. Where's he gone? It's quite happy for me to call. This is about the Prime Minister in the UK. He is a moron, and Julian and I agree on that one. And he says that I'm happy for you to call him an idiot, a deep state stooge, a vacuous charlatan, or anything else, but please don't call him a socialist. Julian says he's on the other side of the political divide to me, he guesses. And again, I am of a mind, unfortunately, politician wise, I have come to the point that 99% of them are a waste of space and they're in it for themselves. And I used to get annoyed with my father years ago. He's dead now, but he stopped voting in his 50s. And I'd get annoyed with him and say, you know, the whole point of the Second World War was to fight for freedom. And he said, well, they're all as bad as each other and there's no point, which is a defeatist attitude. But I am rapidly coming to the same frame of mind. Having said that, that is an issue, for example, in the UK, because the amount of people who vote is dropping significantly. And I think the Mayor of London, who is a moron, and many folks cannot understand for the life of us why he got elected. He got elected because there's only 20% of the population voted for him, because most people can't be bothered to get off their bums. And I do think that the Australian system, where you have to vote or you would be fined, would be a far better way. If people's apathy is so bad these days, you can't then complain about democracy dying. Anyway, this is what's going on. So if you're trading anything at the moment, then be very careful. Only take A grade trades. Don't be taking too many, and try to get your stop to entry as soon as is reasonably possible. And I strongly urge you to take some partial profits because it's the price is just flipping back. And you look at this, I mean, this is gold, as we say. Gold has been going clearly up. You've got America bombs the bunkers in Iran, potential serious major conflict, and now gold is dropping today. Well, I am not going to short gold. So when it comes to gold and silver, I am only in it to long. And actually, it was silver I was trading yesterday, not gold. I was experimenting with that. Where have my silver gone? I'm sure I created a profile for this morning. Oh, here we go. And once again, I am trying to look at multiple time frames for this. And I was just thinking with silver being very similar to gold, and I'd have a little play yesterday. Um, So again, multiple time frames. Pay attention to the candlestick formations. Yesterday price was bouncing along the 200 on the 30 minute. It was clearly bouncing under on the 1 hour. I was in here somewhere and got out, and then I went out for half an hour, and just as well that I'd taken 60-70% off because it dropped back through. So it's all over the place. Everything is all over the place. This is a very risky scenario to be trying to do anything, because we are looking for repeatable patterns. And as said from the beginning of the Trump second presidency, he has a habit of throwing a hand grenade in the room and seeing what happens. And that's virtually, literally what he did at the weekend. So be very careful. Don't leave trades in over the weekend unless you are well in profit and you've already taken a significant chunk out of it. And keep watching the news, because if this ceasefire doesn't hold, then and the Iranians do go and block the Strait of Hormuz, it could decelerate the situation there very, very rapidly. So keep your eye on the news. I noticed that I bought another FX2 funded account last week to experiment with gold, and I got a 30% discount. Now the beggars have done a 50% discount. So if anybody's wanting to test anything, or you're thinking about going onto a funded account, then now is a good time to do it, because you get 50% off if you go for the one step. So I recommend you do it. And that's what we've been doing at the moment, mainly with gold and silver. I say I did take a trade on my live account yesterday. I've taken a few of them. But in general, when you're testing something new, do it on a demo, or I would do it on a funded account. You just get the cheapest one you can get, because the thing is, it does mean that you have to stick to the rules, because otherwise you just end up, as I say, with the guy I was talking about earlier, you just end up being, you're just a gambler. Just want to say hello, have a sip of my tea.
I bought the one
Ashley,
step mark.
oh yeah, Ashley says he bought the one step. Yeah, I bought a 50k one last week, but the one step at the moment is for a 10k one is 45, $50. So it's worth it if you want to test things or if you're thinking about going on a funded. And if you've been toying with the idea of going on a funded, I was talking to a young Indian lad yesterday who's 18 years old, very sensible. He's only been with us a couple of months and he's doing well and he's controlling the drawdown and everything. And he was thinking about maybe getting a funded account in a few months' time. And I said, well, do it now. If you can afford it, just buy the cheapest one and do it now. Get in the habit of maintaining the discipline and structure. For most folks, they've started off badly and now they're having to get it back into the discipline. So again, it is useful in that respect as well as. Pierre has posted, I think, yeah, he says Earth and Sky pairs. Ashley and I met up in Portugal a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I was saying to somebody the other day that when my daughter went to live in Australia for a couple of years, with Skype at the time and Zoom and things, it's not like the old days when people would send a letter, especially from Australia, it'd take a month to get there. You kind of feel like you're meeting people on a regular basis. And I didn't realize it's 3 years since Ashley and I had met in the flesh. So it was good to see him down in Portugal in the south, near where I live. And we went out for lunch and had a pleasant day. And then he did Q&A with me about some of the questions some of members have asked. And he was also explaining about the impact of uh, quitting his job and doing this for a living and the learning curve that he's been on as well. So, good thing to catch up on in there. Mark to market. So, at the weekend, this had been published on the Friday, I believe. And then, of course, as I say, the attack on Iran went on the following day, and markets are closed. You just have no idea what's going to happen. Financial Times are talking about oil prices regain ground. This morning or yesterday, oil prices seem to be drifting back down again because of the strategic place of Iran and this particularly the Strait of Hormuz. Then oil is going to be so sensitive. So if you're thinking about trading oil, now is not the time. I would argue never is the time. But as I talked about last week, you've got potential war and conflict in about 10 or 15 different countries at the moment. We're living in very scary times, and most of those were nuclear powers. So you had Pakistan and India a month ago threatening one another, and you've got various countries in South America. You've obviously got Ukraine and Russia carrying on. It's all very scary. And when you're living through it, because this has kind of been a drip, it's almost like boiling a frog in a pan. They say they don't realize it until it's too late. What's going on at the moment, and we're kind of becoming immune to it, really, with the nuclear aspect, is quite terrifying, I think. But hey ho. Reuters, again, are not bad at keeping up to date speed wise. I'd say I was looking at Al Jazeera because this is from the perspective of a more Arab public and a non-BBC journalism and just a different point of view. So it's good to have an idea rather than just getting your news from one source. And then again, I look every day. I'm trying to work out where the big money's going. And we used to talk about risk on and risk off. Risk on and risk off could go on for months and months and months. And literally at the moment, within the hour, it can change. When I look at gold, I have a level on here that I would be interested to start trading gold at 3,300. So that's my area there. Silver may have further to fall. A big area of support and resistance is here at 35. And then we've got the intersection of the trend line. You've got the 55 EMA coming up behind it. You've got 50%, 61.8 fibs. So you could put your entry here, your stop here, and you've got previous major support and resistance in an uptrend, then multiple reasons to suspect that silver will continue to go up. And I certainly am not selling any of it. This is Home Depot. I was reading something the other day. It's a stock in America, and the title kind of gives away what they're doing. And basically, what the guy was saying, he uses an indicator for the American economy because if people stop spending money in Home Depot, it's indicative that uh, the GDP will be down. Endeavour Silver, so one of my best silver miners from last year. I'm still heavily into these, not selling any of my miners, Pound continues to go up. This is not the pound going up. This is the dollar going down. It's coming up to a double top here. So you would not under any circumstances be thinking of buying the pound here, because you do not have 5 reasons. You don't have 1 reason. And in fact, you have 1 reason to suspect it's more likely to reject here than not. And I'm thinking it's probably well on its way to its daily range here as well. What have we done? Today's range is 107 and the average is 100. So it's already done its daily range. So what you can do, and this is an important thing, I mean, to improve your results is reduce the amount of losing trades. So no matter what setup you see on a shorter time frame, on the longer time frame, this is indicative of, hey, this is a really bad idea. Now, that's not to say that this won't carry on, but the probability is greater than not that it will reject. If it comes back down here, now I would start to be interested. And if you recall last week, I was saying the euro was a far better bet. But if we continue the trend line up now to there, I'm connecting from there to there to there, then you now get into this area here where if price drops back down, the 55 EMA is coming up behind it, we're starting to get into the realms of multiple reasons in here. And in terms of this thing about not buying here because the probability is against you, I told you this for weeks previously with the Euro USD, because the Euro USD kept initially rejecting in here, and this went back to 2022. If you put a line on and you go back, you'll see in 2022 it was a major area of resistance. Dollar Swiss is still too far away from me for multiple reasons, so I'm not taking that. And then yesterday the dollar shot up. So the theory goes, old school theory was that the Japanese yen is a safe haven currency. It is not. It is not based on being a safe jurisdiction, and it's not based upon a strong economy. The debt of the Japanese is 3 times as bad as the US in terms of vis-a-vis their GDP. But the theory goes, for years, what happened is the Japanese were very big investors in America, and in times of conflict and risk off, they would pull their money back to Japan. Fewer companies in Japan and the government are buying less and less government bonds, so maybe it's not as relevant. Because yesterday, the theory goes then Japan's a safe haven, USA's bombed Iran, you would have expected that to drop. So don't pay too much attention to the dollar yen as being a reserve currency, because in my opinion, it is not. The Swiss franc, on the other hand, is, because the Swiss are always neutral. They manipulate their currency. I mean, at the moment, I think they're paying 0% interest. They don't want your money, but they are seen as probably the safest of the lot. But this is why I've been buying gold and silver for the last few years, and I continue to do so, because the ultimate safe haven is gold, and silver goes along with it. And silver, as I mentioned many times, is needed. Now, at the moment, the amount of money that the government in the US are having to pay out in interest is dropping, which is good for them, particularly on the 30-year note. And again, look at what happened up here before. Classic case of a double top to the pip, to the point the other month. And that's in the bond market. So these things do work. So to buy there would have been a very silly idea. UK. So the UK, again, as Julian and I decided and agreed that Starmer is a moron. The cabinet, there's not one of them has any business experience. The Chancellor, the one in charge of the money, was the one who lied on her CV and said she'd worked at the Bank of England, and actually she was working on the help desk somewhere. I have no confidence in this, but, a big but, I have sold quite a lot of my American stocks. I've certainly reduced my holdings, and I did buy an ETF the other day for the UK. I don't have a great deal of confidence in it, but I am looking to spread my risk more. This is the Japanese 50, not got involved with that as yet. This is the Nikkei US 30 coming up to a double, triple top, so you wouldn't be in a rush to buy here. And here is usually when retail get hooked and buy. We go on a bit of a move up, and then promptly it tanks and Wall Street pull the rug. What was interesting, and has been interesting the last 10 days, and it shot up again yesterday, is the Russell 2000 smaller companies index has broken higher. So if you're into stock trading, it may be the smaller stuff is better at the minute. Oil. So oil shot up, oil shot back down again. Where's it going to stop? I do not know. I had put an alarm on here for that. Then risk off scenario yesterday, Bitcoin dropped and it came down to 99,000 and it's rebounded and Ethereum can't drop further. Ethereum came down to the weekly EMA plus the level I have on here that I've had on for months. I did not sell any, I did not buy any, but I am not interested in selling any of the crypto. I have bought some of the smaller stuff periodically down here. Every time I have a few $100, I will buy more of these smaller ones because to me they are consolidating at the moment. And whilst most people are selling, for me that's the time to buy. I did sell some of my MicroStrategy the other week and I converted it, shared it with the investing group. I think I shared it with you guys as well. I sold half of it and I bought more Coinbase. And I ended up being very lucky because this particular move was because of some new news and it shot up 30%. So I was lucky in that respect, but then again, you've got to be in it to win it. H bar, another one, I keep buying this one, so I have bought little bits and pieces down here. We're getting nearer to the point of the SEC reporting to Trump about new regulations for crypto. And I've explained many times before why I think that Coinbase will go to $1,000 because apart from anything else I was explaining last week, the new tie-up with Circle means that they are going to get 50% of Circle's interest, and that is going to be a massive amount of money on top of what they're making already. And they are the main legal regulated broker in the US. Now, as this CCJ, I have been buying some uranium the last few weeks. Unfortunately, I missed this one, took my eye off the ball. This was my best performing uranium stock in recent years. I think I've sold all of it previously. I missed it down here, and I was buying down here last year at the same time. So uh, missed it. It's too expensive for me now. I have an alarm set down here. So in the meantime, I bought some UEC. Let's have a look and see what else I bought. Berkshire Hathaway, I watched that as a barometer. Look what Berkshire Hathaway did the other day. Bounced virtually to the pip, the 200 EMA, the trend line, previous major support and resistance. I'm not buying it, but again, it's a bit of a barometer for the US economy. Gold miners, GDX and junior miners are well up. TSM, I haven't bought that. Tesla, I definitely haven't bought. I think that I said before, I think that Musk obviously suffered a lot because of his actions with the Trump government, and Tesla seem to have lost their way a little bit at the moment. The car sales have plummeted, and it was all about their new taxis that they were going to do. And they've put 10 on the road, I think, in Austin, Texas, and they've all got to have a co-driver sat there whilst they're testing. So it's not really going to dent Waymos at the moment, I don't think. Baba, I think I've sold Baba. This is iron. Copper has been on a run. So I am kind of thinking I sold Apple a while ago. I don't have any confidence Apple at the moment. Google, I'm out. Palantir, I took 50% off up here. Meta closed 80%. I need to move the alarm up on that one. Not that I don't think that these companies will be big going forward because they're all sat on a ton of money. And I think it's Apple sat on 100 and some billion or some crazy amount of money. So these are all for the future. They're all heavily into AI. They're all heavily into quantum computing, and they've all got lots of cash to buy other things. I just would rather buy them when the sales are on. So for me at the moment, I am not focusing too much there. Platinum's gone on a run. And again, metals and palladium and copper and uranium, etc., are all things I am nibbling my way into. And then other things. This was a small gold and silver miner. I think it's Canadian. It's on the Canadian exchange. I got this from Silver Academy. I've taken myself off his list today. The guy's just goes on about everything but silver most days. This is Zenotech. This is a very speculative one I bought the other day. I have an alarm set here. Might even add to this position because this one, it's a drone company. It shot up because they'd got a contract with the American government. And I want to be involved in drones a bit. Highly speculative. I bought some up here, some up here. probably some up here by the look of it. But this, again, not financial advice. This is all me being very speculative and just watching numerous different ideas. Anybody got any questions for me? And I think Dan was asking about MT5 with FX2. Yeah, they had it and now it's gone again. In fact, I need to talk to you actually. I was trying to work out how to take partial profits yesterday on that C trader, and every time I tried to do it, I closed the whole flipping lot.
Yeah,
Uh, is there a way to do it?
yeah. Have you got it open, I think? Oh, I can show you later. You
It's on my.
basically, what you have to do on the terminal, you don't click the close button, you have to double click it.
Okay.
And
Do
then you have to type in your lot size. I mean, I can kind of show it maybe on the new account that I
okay.
have.
So is it double left click?
No, yeah, double left click,
Yeah.
and then it opens up the dialog blocks like MetaTrader, and then
Okay.
it will show you the lots that you have in the dialog box.
Yeah.
And then you do the same thing, which is basically you type in whatever you want, and then it says over there, close 0.20 out of one lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried yesterday. I was trying to do it on there, do it on my live account, do it on the demo
They
account, and
have
it.
tutorials as well, short ones. So that's how
Oh,
I learned it myself.
okay.
It was on YouTube. But yeah, I can show you later if you're struggling.
Okay. Thank you very much. On the subject of new things, this is the app for trading crypto. We got Marcel with us this morning. He's main test pilot for this, but we both come to a similar conclusion. I'm just trying to find his text from this morning. And Marcel was saying,
That Bitcoin wick was huge to
yeah,
98.
yeah. It's very. I mean, to be honest, I've had one little go this week. I think that was on Saturday. I'm leaving it alone at the moment because it's just crazy. But what Marcel and we both came to the conclusion and realised, and he realised it before me, that at the moment, as soon as Bitcoin turns, everything turns. I mean, this is the pattern for Bitcoin. This is the pattern for Ethereum, which is virtually the same. This is the pattern for Doge, which is virtually the same as Bitcoin. This is the pattern for Solana. So they're all so highly sensitive to Bitcoin. But the problem is with Bitcoin that because of the margin, because it's so expensive, you can't bet much on it. And we're talking about betting here, guys. I mean, is high risk stuff. And again, the only reason why we're testing this is because we're doing it on funded accounts. So I blew the first one up, which was a hundred bucks, and that's money well spent to me because if I'd done it on a live account, I could have been at lost 1,000. So at the moment, it's a learning process. It is hands-on. Because of all this volatility at the moment, you've just got to be watching it all the time, which again is not something I want to do. So personally, I'm more interested if things start to consolidate again. If we got Ethereum back above here and Bitcoin back above here, 105, it would give me more confidence to be able to do this on longer time frames and just place the trade and walk away. So we're experimenting, but again, I talked about FX2 earlier, or any of the other decent ones. Ashley's used the 5%ers before, FTMO. We've kind of tried all of them. Whichever, pick your own one that you want to use. But to me, if you're going to do stuff, and especially something as volatile as crypto. But anyway, in terms of saving yourself a lot of time, just be mindful if you're going to do it, you have to watch Bitcoin, and you really need to be on a smaller time frame as well. Other things to note with this, I wasted 3 or 4 hours one week, the first weekend I got the damn thing, because there is a tool that is for the watch list, I think. And yeah, here you go. So the default watch list, and so what it says on the video that they give you is that you just click on this and it brings up all the different currency pairs, cryptocurrency pairs that you can trade. And I say I spent the weekend prattling around. I spent 3 or 4 hours and then thought to reach out to their support. So I was a bit dumb, yes. And the support were actually very good. But it turns out that you can't do that anymore. You have to create your own list. So I have created a bit of a list, which is here. but you have to do that. And equally, when you want to look at a chart, you have to right click and view the chart. They're supposed to be tying up with TradingView, so we'll wait and see to see whether or not that happens. Any questions for me before I hand you over to Ashley? Julian says, I just sat on my hands the last few days of cashing out stocks. Yeah, I am seriously thinking. I look after my daughters and friends at ISA in IG. IG are paying 4.25%, 4.5% interest at the moment. And we're up. Andy, the guy I was sharing the other week, we're up 15%. My daughter's up much higher percent because we've been doing it for 2 years. And I have trimmed quite a few of them, but I am seriously thinking about selling a whole chunk of them and just sitting back and watching. The gold and silver I've got, I'm not going to sell any miners and I'm not going to sell any uranium. But in general, I am seriously thinking about selling a lot of this stuff because this is just in the blow off top territory. So for me, I'm a bit similar with you, Julian.
Considering what
But
you just said, Mark, we had a chat about, well, I need to make the IG account first of all, and
yeah,
I have some spare cash. So me and my wife, we were gonna, put some in there. So
yeah.
considering what you just said, would now be a right time to even still buy stocks, or you're looking at particular things that,
Well, for the benefit of everybody else, I am not a licensed financial
yeah,
advisor in jurisdiction.
yeah,
With you, I will stick with you. But what I am thinking is, I've got gold and silver, and I've got the miners, and just showed you a small miner down here. I haven't done too much research with this. I passed it over to one of our Canadian members, a private client of mine, and he's having a look. This lot were the ones that kind of drew me to it. What appeals technically is that this does have the potential to make 50% to where it was in October. So technically, this is very interesting. I would need to do some more research. There's one here. One of the banks has cut the price target to 18.50 from 19. Oh, that's bad. And if you want to be an analyst for a bank, guys, really all you need to do is say, well, where was the recent high? Where did it all calm down? And they previously were saying that they thought it would go to $19, and they're the ones getting the big bucks. So anyway, they're now thinking this is not as good, so it might only be 18.50 it's worth. But dear me, all this BS and the billions of dollars that are spent on these experts, and you can do it with us for $69 a month. Um, anyway, I would focus more. We'll go through it actually, but mining stocks I do like, as I explained many
yeah.
times before. The price of silver in the ground at the moment is at a discount for me. EXK, if it came back down to $4, I would buy more. And this is one I was buying on the dips all the time last year and this summer,
My
earlier this
my wife was not happy last night. She was looking at the savings account that she made, and they didn't drop the interest rate even more. So she's
year.
like
What
the
interest are
on
they
the
paying?
savings account. So
Yeah.
we're just holding the cash at the moment in a savings account, which was earning like 5% 6 months ago,
Yeah.
and they have just been dropping the rate. Now it is like 3.2 or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
inflation's still running at 5 or 6. So,
Yep.
yeah. Well, for the moral of the story for everybody is educate yourself. You've got all the tools at your fingertips here. You do what we do in multiple markets. Be open to new ideas. I still think there's money to be made in crypto, but it's high risk and it's definitely only money you can afford to lose. But if you look at the charts, technically, for a lot of the things that we are buying, when I'm buying stocks, I am using technical analysis and I am using fundamentals as well. So it's all there. You can do this. You just need then to have the courage of your convictions and not go mad. Right, I will hand you over to Ashley.